shiggity. This evil shiggity. I'm like, yeah, we
Um,
gotta watch it. No, it's not evil. Oh wait, maybe Sam's right.
ladies and gentlemen, the people of the court, we are gathered here to talk about the finale of Uzumaki, episode 4. Um, it ended, and now it may continue, but that's another story for another time. Um, I'm gonna say this: even though there was no resolution, the good guys didn't win, whatnot. I know, right? Even now, just saying that it's unique what they were able to do, and I know that it's gonna piss a lot of people off. I already know that. I know that people are gonna be pissed. Like, what the fuck? We watched this all for this? Just madness? I'm like, yep. That's look at some of the A24 movies. It's kind of like that. It's like, you know, I think the best one I could think of right now is Alex Garland's Annihilation. It just ends with like, well, you know what's happening, and then it just that's it. Um, I think taking away the context of where the animation talk was going for these past few weeks, this, in some regards, is an achievement. Um, but it's it's gonna be very interesting to see how once people start discovering this show, how they're gonna take it in. Because a lot of people don't like open-ended stuff. A lot of people like beginning, middle, ends, and that's it. And this was like a beginning, middle. There's an end, but is it really an end, or is it just a bus stop? Um, as a viewer, as someone who creates, I don't want to use the word content, but someone who creates, likes to think I create entertainment with these reactions, reviews. I had a blast these past few weeks watching the show. But I know a lot of people weren't too keen on this, and I may or may not have forced them to watch this. And to that regard, I thank them for doing that. Granted, it's only 4 episodes. Um, but yeah, it was a journey. It was a journey. I'll say that. Busy. How do you feel?
I mean, I'm pretty sure y'all told me we were watching something else the first episode, and so I joined, and then it just kind of happened. There wasn't really any getting out of it, and then of course the peer pressure of Sam saying if I didn't do it, he wasn't gonna do it. So there was that. Um, I said this in episode 1. Like I in episode 2, like I just hate the lack of explanation. And I was told, ride the wave. You know what are you talking about? And even after all this shit, I don't know. I mean, they finally explained a little bit, but I don't know, man. Like I honestly am happy with the way it kind of turned out. I'm not even gonna lie. Like I kind of, for someone who hasn't read the material, I'm
Same.
actually like, I'm sold on it. I think it's hard to explain a lot of the crap that they were doing, but to simply say, "Oh, this is a curse that happens every couple generations," is the easiest way to make me understand it as a viewer, and not make me. Well, then how does that explain the snails? Or why the hell are why spirals of all things? You know, like I'm not like I think the whole point of this was for me to be like, oh shit, this is creepy. I need something creepy to watch. It's October, you know, and I feel like on the creepy side of things, horror side of things, they delivered, you know. And realistically, when you watch a lot of horror movies, they're pointless, you know. Like the whole point of it's just to make your hair stick up, you know. They don't got a crazy story, but I think this kind of delivered on that. You know, the story was all over the place, and I think that's why I was kind of invested in it because it's like, bro, we have only 4 episodes. They have to give us an explanation in the fourth episode, and they delivered. You know, I think that the explanation they gave us, I think, was the most fitting and the one that I feel like I'm the happiest with, compared to them trying to give us a whole bunch of other explanations crammed into the 30 minutes that we got. You know, so I feel like they made it work. I think it was fun. Would I watch it again? Probably not. But, you know, like, it was definitely a trip.
That's okay. Yeah, I like that. Samuel, um, is this evil?
Yes,
Okay, just double
yes.
checking.
If anybody debates that, I can go a good 2 hours and go back and forth with you. I never wanted to go after I watched the first episode. I never wanted to continue this because it was really evident in the first episode that none of them were going to make it out of this.
I had some hope.
I had none, and even the beginning of this episode, like introducing a new character into it, right? Bringing them along for the ride. I was kind of like, depending on how this new character lines up, then maybe there is a sense of hope. As soon as that freaking door closed, I was like, yeah, they're not going to make it out of this. You're going to introduce a brand new character that you value, like somebody from the outside, at the very least, from a storytelling standpoint, the person that comes from the outside that hasn't been exposed as long would have made it out. She did not. Matter of fact, I think at one point, one of the people that twisted together ended up in the water and went out. So we even heard, I think in like episode 2, like different towns were noticing stuff happening as well. So this is not something I wanted to watch. This is very evil. This is very dark. But I will say that the 4th episode gave a huge amount of explanation if you really paid attention to it. Conceptually, like we knew for a fact that people were absolutely cursed and the spiral was almost like an infection, but it tapped into different people's emotions, their inhibitions, their seduction, their desires. It affected them on that level. So there's 2 different explanations in my head that's going on. Because once they got down to the very bottom, basically Suichi kind of understood, like, okay, this has been here, right? And so he said, quote, quote, whoever put this here, this is what their intent was. It's 2 different explanations. One, this was aliens, and the aliens just wanted to go and affect the area and make it all a spiral and infect everything. And from a mental and emotional, like the easiest way to submit people and transform them from the in and out, it makes sense from a sci-fi standpoint. The other explanation is that this is literally hell breaking out every generation just in this area. Like it just breaking out and submitting to people's emotions and breaking them down. Because the thing about it, if it was aliens, then I'd be like, okay, it makes more sense to submit them. But the different aspects of people getting seduced, it leads a more evil intent. I'm more inclined to believe like Dante's Inferno, like this is different points in generations where parts of hell are just coming out. And it's just destroying and sucking. Because even when we got down to the lower level, like I was like, okay, yeah, this definitely looks like a depiction of hell. So, and I think everything that happened with the 2, it was kind of just like, this isn't even about self-sacrifice, it's about self-preservation. So they even used that on the 2 main leads that we've been rallying behind. When the chips got, at the end of the day, it's like they had to eat to survive too. And they also had to submit to their own desires and need for each other. So it's kind of like, it's almost like the root of all evil. And even though it's a beautiful thing to see, it's a very evil thing to see. So this is a lot. But I will say that the 4th episode explained the narrative very well, even down to how the snails were created, how people were intertwined, like how people, even with the vampires, it makes sense because of what people were consuming. Like it's got to do with like even the flesh, tissue,
Ecosystem.
I can't get behind like the whole whirlwind thing, but they did explain it. Like you make too much noise, then you're gonna get caught up. But yeah, it was evil, bro. Like there's nothing fun about this, Sugarty. You can say it's entertaining, but nah, bro. I'm interested to see what Jarrell has to feel about it, but I get that the 4th episode made the whole thing. I think the narrative itself, say what you will about the animation with episode 2 or 3 or this one, but I do think that this is a animated horror masterpiece in the sense of the narrative. I think the narrative I don't think we've ever seen anything like this from an animation, like done from this narrative. Like, you can say that the animation isn't the best, but the narrative, in the sense that this was done in an animated form, I don't think we've ever seen anything like that. I don't know if we ever will after this, but
especially for how long it took. I think it'll be a while before they do this something like this again. Yeah, I agree, and I think regardless of how I felt as soon as this episode ended or how it led afterwards, I cared about Kiri. I cared about Shunichi. I cared about the little brother that we barely met, and like and how something's working when we feel for characters. Then we're like, please don't eat that. Don't go down that route. Yeah, the very the Naruto Dragon Ball Z powers that started cranking up at the beginning of the episode. That's wild. I don't know if that's from the books. If that's from the books, more power to it. Yeah, I feel like, and I'm not gonna compare them, but it's just like this is almost in the same vibe, different yet similar to something like how I watched The Shining for the first time. Okay, I don't know what this stuff is about. It's just a family that go into this big ass hotel and shit just gets nuts, and it just ends, and that's it. And maybe in a decades you might get a sequel that taps into that. But I think that this is on the other side of looking at it past what we were so hit by in that first episode, visually, animation format, to where it concluded. I think you said it best, that narratively, what this thing did in 4 episodes, as non-book readers, it hit well. And I think it's a great plus, in my opinion, to television in this year. And I'm very eager to see how people feel about this who have not read the books, and also those who have read the books, to see how they do for an adaptation. Because I think that's still valid, and yet might tell what will go onwards with adaptations involving Junji Ito. Because, like, again, a lot of people try to do his work multiple times, and some stuff have not been hitting for a lot of the big parts. The only thing that's still been remained consistent is the books. The material is still there. And there's one story I've heard about that I hope they do adapt in this format one way or another, that has to do with claustrophobic, if you will, and mountains. And I'll leave it at that. I'll tell you about that later. But I think for October season, this is perfect fit. If you like the creepy stuff, you want to get into that vibe of October. I don't know if they'll watch it again as well. I'm not so sure either. I think maybe the first episode, because the first episode was so much like a Twilight Zone episode, that if it ended there, it'd be like, whoa, what a gut punch with that first episode. But yeah, I'm very eager to see how our friend Jorel thinks of this, and also how the dubbing was. From what we had heard of the dubbing, I think starting from Abby Trott to everybody else, they had done a good work of translating the stuff from Japanese to English. And yeah, I feel bad for anybody who loves lighthouses. These past few years have not been kind to y'all. Between the lighthouse and this show now, that sucks to be you. My condolences. But yeah, to wrap things up, how do we rate this? How do we rate the finale? And then, I don't know if you want to do the series as a whole, but I think as a finale, I would give it a B plus or A minus. Right now, I'm leaning more towards B plus, just because this also exists in the same world as the first episode. But I think it stuck the landing. It may not have been what we all wanted, but it's what it gave us, and it remained fit in what we've been receiving these past few weeks. So A minus, B plus for me.
I think for a series that's, again, running off of 4 episodes, and to answer so many questions in a matter of 30 minutes, they did a really good job. I'm going to give it an A minus, due to the fact that they had to resolve a lot of issues, and not only for us viewers, like, to sit here and watch a show that didn't really give us much, as a when it comes to answering questions and why things made sense. But I think they did a really, really good job closing it out. But and I think it makes the other 3 episodes worth while, because I mean I couldn't I couldn't imagine them finishing the series just, without giving us any type of explanation. So again, I do applaud them on doing all of that within the short amount of time that they were given. So I think they closed out pretty good. As a whole, I think I'll give it a B. But realistically, yeah, I'm all over the place with this show. I don't know how I feel.
That's fine. Sam? That look.
I'm only going to say this one time. As a fourth episode, I think the fourth episode is on par with the first episode. Not necessarily in shock value, not necessarily in aesthetic, but in terms of they could have like made the exposition moments from Suichi and them uncovering stuff seem so just shoehorned in, but they found ways within this amount of time of one episode to kind of make it all palatable, which is very hard to do. And I think a part of that is the person that also started the first episode writing it was contributing on this one. So I think that what I'll say is this is an A+. The show as a whole, I don't think I'll ever rate it because it's just too evil. And I can't recommend this to anybody. Like even like people that are horror cinephiles, most horror in and of itself like is got an explanation or a connection to this. There's an explanation to the narrative, but there's not a value to like why was this written? What do you get from it? Like how does it make you feel? What was the purpose behind Ito's narrative? Did he tell a story to tell a story, or is it something that you're supposed to get? And I don't feel like there's something you're supposed to get here of value. It shows the deepest, darkest parts of man. I do think it makes a value of human connection, but then even with that, like the worst desires of it comes to the worst ends. And yeah, I can't recommend this to anybody. So I'm not gonna rate the series as a whole, but this fourth episode, I think it's on par with the first. I think it's an A+ to me.
Okay.
But yeah,
Journey
never again evil.
Journey experience is up to y'all. I'll say this. Just be ready for these 4 episodes. If you want to see something you've never seen before, I think this fits the description. If you like Ari Aster stuff and Alex Garland stuff, I think this is up your alley. And I'll be very intrigued to talk to others who are not familiar with the books, including our friend Jorel. But yeah, that'll be our review for UZUMAKI, episode 4, the finale for Spiral into Horror. If you bother checking out our videos, thank you so much for following us in this journey. And I'm not even making that as a PR thing. Thank you so much, because my God, what you could have been doing otherwise with this show. But in the meantime, this isn't the only thing we're doing. We've been doing a lot of stuff, and we're going to be doing more stuff. And I think this is where you tell folks where y'all going to be. You're cooking your stuff. Where can people find you?
You can find me Busy Brown everywhere, and over here doing reviews for TeamJVS. Sorry, it's late.
I get it. It's all good. You can find me at Ronan Unchained on YouTube, on the socials. Wrapping up Twilight of the Gods, Penguin, and there's a lot of stuff we're cooking up between my channel and also TeamJVS's channel that I think has an enormous amount of range. And this also just expanded this range with this effing show. This evil here. But yeah, subscribe to TeamJVS, share it, like it, subscribe to the channel. More it grows, the more nonsense we'll do. And until then, don't stare at the spiral, y'all. Don't.
It's freaking evil.